Hello, welcome everyone. Happy to be back with you again, as always. I know I always say that, but I am. I'm happy to be with you. Happy to be here talking about music stuff. Music stuff is like the best, especially computer music stuff. Wow, you can do so much. That's what we're going to talk about today, of course. We're going to continue on with the Mai Tai Synth comprehensive in-depth tutorial stuff. It's behind my face right now. Court, welcome. Great to have you here. Great to have everybody here. And in the future too, if you're checking it out. I hope this is beneficial for you. This is part 2 of the series. We started last Tuesday, going over the basics of Mai Tai and how it functions, all sorts of stuff. So we're not going to cover that stuff today. So if you need to know about the basic functions of the synth, then definitely check out last week's stream. It's on my channel. You can easily find it. And today we're going to go forth and create all sorts of cool synth sounds, and we're going to try to use them in a beat as well. I like music. Welcome. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Last time we created this synth. It was a key synth, meaning emulating a kind of piano-ish type of quality where you play chords on and whatnot. This sort of thing. Right. So I'm happy with that one. We also put this functionality in there, some sort of like, sound quality's good. Okay, good to know. Thomas, yo, welcome. I just want to hear this all day. the vibrato chords. So satisfying. Okay. Today we're going to try to create a bunch of different stuff, and then we're going to use it in an actual beat and see what we can do. And as always, make sure if you have any questions, you can ask anytime. I'm happy to chat about whatever's coming up for you, or about whatever else. If something goes on and you don't understand or want me to expand on something, probably other people feel the same way too. So it's good to ask about it, and I'm very happy to chat with you. So if you're here and I've not met you before, please say hello, and let's get into it. Hello, Hari. Welcome. Okay, so we're going to open a new version of Mai Tai. A new instance of Mai Tai. And I think what we'll do now is move on. We got our key sound down. So the other sounds we're going to try to create are going to be a bass sound, a pad, a pluck, and perhaps a lead sound as well. And we'll see how many we can get done today. I'm not sure. Just have to give it a shot. You got a new processor in your computer. Hey, that's actually pretty exciting. What did you get? Okay, let's get into it. So I'm going to go for a bass sound now. Last time we talked about waveforms, we talked about filters, we talked about all this kind of stuff. So now comes the point in which we're training our ear to decide what it is that we are hearing, either internally, like we have a sound in our mind that we're wanting to get out, or externally, we're hearing a sound in a song and we're trying to emulate that. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I've found that if I don't have an idea ahead of time and I just try to start making a sound by just whatever, twisting random knobs until it's cool, like sometimes it works, but most of the time it's just an abysmal failure. It's better that I know the purpose of what I'm doing, or at least not even the purpose, but at least the quality of the sound I'm going for. So today we're going to go for a bass sound that is, I'm not quite sure, but it's going to be something like I'm often interested in doing, which is emulating a bass guitar in a certain way. I love that kind of thing, the way it decays and the attack on it. And we're going to try to make it really playable, really useful. Also, I should mention that a new video just came out on the channel like half an hour ago. I have a new series of videos all about producing lo-fi music in Studio One. It's a full step-by-step tutorial series. I think you'll like it if you want to check that out. And the one that just came out today is actually about creating another synth in Mai Tai, a very beautiful synth. I think you'll like it a lot, actually. So after the stream, you could check that out, or tomorrow, or whatever. If you're into the Mai Tai stuff, it's a continuation of that. Okay, so here we go, onto the bass thing. First thing we're going to do is initialize the patch, as always. Make sure everything is set, and we're just getting, ooh, that's going to be loud, isn't it? A raw, oh, it's coming out of my speakers, that's why it's so loud. A raw synth sound. A raw synth sound, a raw saw wave sound. And we're going to start shaping this. So The different tones, wow, that one is so loud, that we can get out of this thing are going to be how we're going to start shaping the sound, of course. Remember, when we're doing this subtractive synthesis, we start with a harmonically rich waveform, or at least a waveform that is in the direction of what we're trying to accomplish, and then we carve frequencies out of it to get what we want. And now to get this sort of electric bassy kind of sound, I'm going to use this saw wave as our starting point, and I'm going to throw it down an octave with the octave control. So now we've got this, and more like I want to play in this octave, but I got a big keyboard in front of me, so I can easily reach that. I'm just going to use that. So the first thing is, this is like super sharp, right? Like kind of annoying to listen to, actually. So just for sake of enjoyment, we're going to pull the cutoff on the filter down. So already it's just a bit nicer. And I'm going to start by, like I did last time, shaping the oscillator and shaping the way that it moves over time, both it's in volume and in filter motion, and then we can start playing with things after that. So let's make sure that this oscillator is set up properly. We've got our waveform decided, we've got our octave decided. Do we need to touch the semitone? No. The fine? No. The spread? No. The sub? No. Now, why not the sub? We aren't making a bass? Well, you could do this. We could put this up here and then throw the sub up. And then we're playing in 2 octaves simultaneously. That's actually not what I'm going to do right now, though, but it is a cool idea. I'm going to throw this down and have this thing be the sub itself. So the next is, I want this sound to decay over time. So I just lower my sustain, we talked about last time, and throw my decay way out. And you'll remember that I'm pretty into the smooth fade out. This linear fade out although it looks like it should be smooth, we actually want it to kind of like fade into infinity. Hey, that's the name of my next album, how about? Okay, and we bring this up, my first album. Do I have an album? Not yet. So now we're about this. This is decent. In fact, it might be what I'm looking for today. I mean, we could go for a short little thing. I would get this even smoother. I'm listening to the tail, trying to get it to be as smooth as possible as it goes down into nothing there. Okay, I'm going to make it monophonic, of course, because we're not trying to play chords on our bass, just so when I'm playing it's a bit easier for me. And the next thing is, I'm going to decide how long we want this. So this is real short, but that's kind of cool. Let's go a little bit longer. Let's go with that. So a real electric bass is going to like last way longer than this. And as I mentioned last time, my philosophy is often copying the best aspects of real instruments, or at least, some kind of physicality of an instrument, thinking how would it behave in real life, trying to emulate that, not because I'm trying to make a digital version of an electric bass, but because our ears are so sensitive to the evolving, ever-changing nature of real phenomena, that when we hear something that doesn't move in a realistic way, it stands out. And that could be exactly what you want. You could want a synth that its purpose is to stand out and sound completely unrealistic. In this case, I don't want that. Most of the time, I think people are looking for some degree, that's deep, some degree of, I don't know if the word realism is there, but I use another word sometimes, believability, that the sound feels like it actually exists or is authentic or could exist in some way. And so by copying a lot of the elements of a real instrument, we can start to approximate that. So the first thing we're doing, of course, is this volume envelope. The second is a filter envelope, and we can actually control that this time with the amp envelope. Last time we used a separate one. We used envelope 2 to control the filter, but we're going to use the amp envelope today, and I can show you that we can do both, control the volume and the filter using the same envelope. One thing I forgot to do is set my release. I'm just going to bring this up, and I'll just bring this out to maybe 30 milliseconds or so. Hi, Bill. Welcome. You were thinking about that earlier. That's great. This thing needs to come back so I have more room to work. I guess it looks pretty decent already. Throw this down. Okay. Now we're good. So let's start moving this around. You might remember we're going to use the mod section down here. We're going to say not envelope 2. Remember, the top is what's doing the controlling, and the bottom is what's getting controlled. So the top is going to be envelope main, they're calling it, which is this amp envelope here. And what's it going to control? Filter cutoff. Right now it's not going to do anything because this blue slider is not set to anything. And remember, the thing we're going to think about is we set the cutoff knob to the lowest value that we want the sound to get to, like at the bottom of its motion. How dark do we want the sound to get? So before I start moving this, I'm going to start pulling this down. Like this is too low. Perhaps like this. Then the degree that we push this up is how far up the black thing is going to start, the little black point here, the measurement point, before it starts moving down. So all the way up, we start with a very sharp attack. You can hear the like brittle high end. I don't want that in this case. So I'm going to bring this down until I lose that sharp attack and gain a kind of soft, rounded quality. Kind of like this. That sounds pretty good. Too much. Great. Okay, so now this shape is dictating the flow of volume over time, and it's dictating the movement of the filter simultaneously, which is kind of cool because they become a kind of linked phenomenon. As the sound gets quieter, it gets darker in the exact same proportion. So instead of just da, we have dom, dom, which if you've ever played a real bass or a guitar before is similar to palm muting. If you put your palm on the strings and then you pluck it, you get this choom, choom kind of sound, and that's what we've got here. Okay, that's the first step. Next is, what else can we do with it? I mean, this is already pretty usable. Like, if your bass isn't going to feature prominently in the song, then this is already perfectly fine, and you'll be able to get away with it because no one's going to be hearing it so clearly. Let's put this up a bit. But there's other stuff we can do, of course. So the first thing is we could try putting in another oscillator. Now that we have this kind of set up to move the way we want, we can experiment with what bringing in a second oscillator could do, potentially on a different waveform, potentially up an octave. There's all sorts of stuff that can happen here. So we'll try first going up an octave with a saw wave as well. I'm going to just do them back and forth. I'll turn it off so you can hear the original. And then now with the second. So here, this higher octave is really standing out. And this is brings up an interesting point that I can only touch on here today a little bit. Maybe I'll make a video on it someday. But if you really want to understand synthesis, understand timbre or timbre in general, that is the tone of instruments, the sound of instruments, what makes them sound the way they do, you really need to study the harmonic series, because the harmonic series is kind of the way that vibrations work, you could say, in nature, meaning a vibrating string or column of air, the way the harmonics lay out, all these different things. I can't cover it in depth right now, but if you do some research on that, if you study that a little bit, you can actually use the principles that you learn from the harmonic series in your synth sound design. And the reason I bring it up right now is that this oscillator 2 is playing an octave higher than oscillator 1, which is the natural flow of harmonics in the harmonic series. It starts with a fundamental tone, then it goes an octave higher, then a fifth higher, then a fourth higher, which is the octave again, a major third, and so on like this. We should do a math-based harmonic series night, actually. That's actually a great idea. We should definitely do that. Anyway, the point of that, root, octave, fifth, octave, third, fifth, and on it goes. If you can understand the way that those tones lay out, I'm going to turn this off for a second. I'll play it for you. Which is actually a bar chord on a guitar for anyone who's playing guitar, or like an open E major chord. That's basically the same relationship. Especially if you had a bass guitar playing an octave beneath you, you'd be playing a harmonic series chord, you could call it. So knowing that, when this is playing an octave higher, that's a natural phenomenon. That distance between the lower and the higher octave is what happens normally in real instruments. And by controlling the level of the upper octave compared to the lower octave, you can get differing amounts of punchiness in your bass versus deepness in your bass. The quality of a bass sound, or of a sound in general, in terms of how subby and low, thick it sounds versus kind of mid-rangey, throaty, punchy it sounds, has all to do with this balance of harmonics and how they play out. And by understanding the order of those harmonics, you can manipulate them in so many different ways, especially when you have a synth a little bit more open-ended, like Serum, for instance, has the ability to actually go in and change the harmonic series of your waveform individually. Wow, it's so cool. We can emulate it here, though. If I just have this octave higher, the louder I make this, the less thick and subby the sound becomes, and the more of a, almost like a regular guitar tone we're getting. If I bring this down, I can start to bring this up and try to find a nice balance. Now, personally, I often like my synth sounds, my synth bass sounds, to be really deep sounding. I like the, I don't know why, I just like the feel, have the kick drum being a bit punchier and have the bass be, you know, like super low sounding. So I'm actually not going to use the octave, but I'm just demonstrating that's a thing that we could do here. What we could do also is switch this up 7 semitones, which is like a fifth. Now this is also a naturally occurring note within the harmonic series, an octave plus a fifth. And we can work this in at a quiet level to the point where we're not even hearing it really as a fifth anymore. I'm trying to do something where we don't hear it as a chord, like as in our intervals in 2 notes. We hear it as a single entity, but we're shaping the tone of it by how loud that upper harmonic is. That's the idea. So that's one option, is using the fifth, and you get this kind of tone from it. I'll compare and contrast. This is a little bit loud right now. That's fine. The next we're just going to try is putting it up 1 more octave and then bringing this down to 4, which is going to be a major third. And we can bring this level down, or even switch tones. I'll make it loud so you can hear it. You hear this in a lot of like house music. So it sounds really major right now. Could have made it a minor third instead. Anyway, let's bring this down in level. So now it doesn't sound so much like a chord anymore as just a tone. I quite like that. Super subtle. And now this brings up one more point here, which is this sync button. And this is going to sync the phase of the oscillators. Last time we talked about the any oscillator, any synth, or any sound actually in general has this quality, or has a parameter you could call phase, which is its point within its waveform cycle. Is it beginning at the 0 crossing? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it somewhere in between on its cycle? And the relationship between 2 oscillators, the way that their phase relates to each other, determines a lot of aspects of how the sound behaves, or how the sound appears to our ears, you could say. So we can sync the phases so that always they have exactly the same relationship. They're always starting at exactly the same point. And that's what we want here, because when we're tone shaping, sometimes you want randomness. Sometimes every time you hit the key, you want it to have a different relationship, but sometimes you don't. In this case, I don't. This time, every time I hit the key, I want it to start exactly the same way so I get a consistent tone. That's the idea. One thing I wanted to say about this idea here of pitch shifting notes and following the harmonic series and all that is that you could have an EQ and go in and like make a boost, right, at like some point in the bass sound. I do that all the time as well. The only thing about an EQ is that it doesn't follow your pitch. So as you change notes, if you really wanted to maintain that tone that you're designing with the EQ, the thing would have to move too, right? The EQ spike as well will need to move in unison with the pitch you're playing. That doesn't happen in a traditional EQ. So doing it through this sort of method allows this pitch to change in exact relationship with this pitch, and you maintain the relative spacing of the two oscillators and you maintain the tone. That's the whole point. Okay, so that's all good. The next thing we're going to do is look at two different ways to increase the thuddy, punchy quality of the thing. Let me see the question here. So what happens if you're in sync, then random pitch both and pan left, right? Would it maintain? Yes, they will always still both start at 0. When you don't have that sync turned on, or if you have the random phase turned on, it will start at different points within the oscillator every time. Here, they will always stay synced, both starting at 0, no matter how you pan them, no matter what the pitches are. I mean, we're in different pitches right now, of course, with vastly different pitches, if that answers your question, if I understood correctly. Okay. Random phase. What happens if you are in sync, then random phase, both, and pan left, right? Ah, I see. Okay, yes, good. Okay, you understand. Okay, so one of the things that you can do on a real instrument is pluck it harder, for instance, on a bass, right? You can go from thum, thum, thum to thum, 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 right? If you smack that string hard, you're going to get a spike in volume right at the start. And that spike in volume is going to give the sound a more percussive quality. Now, there's many ways to achieve this. Some that emulate that exact thing, meaning you just make a bump in volume right at the start. And that's actually, as far as I'm aware, what this knob does, the punch knob. So we bring that up. Now the attack of the sound is slightly louder than it was before, getting a bit more of a steep curve at the beginning. Doom, doom, doom. It's okay. It's not quite what I'm looking for, though. So what I'm looking for is the thing to have a more thuddy, punchy, almost like a kick drum quality to it. And here's how we're going to do that. We're going to take this envelope 2, and we're going to have a very quick decay on it, like this, and we'll make it quite steep. I guess that's as steep as it can go. And we're going to say envelope 2 controls oscillator 1 pitch and controls, well, maybe we'll see if we need to control oscillator 2's pitch. Excuse me. So here's the theory. We're going to start oscillator 1 at a higher pitch than it's assigned to currently, and it's going to slide into its current pitch, but it's going to do it very, very fast. That slide from high pitch to low pitch is going to cause the low frequencies to suddenly appear where they weren't a second ago. Thum, 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 that sort of thing. I'll play it very slowly first so we can see. That's what we're doing. Now as I bring this down, see what I mean? Now I turn this off. Here's no thud. Thud. How much thud do I want? That's what this does. Too much. What I'm going to do now is set it to maximum thuddiness, and then we're going to control how much thud we want by using our velocity. I'll show you how to do that in a second. So first I'm just going to tweak this knob and this decay time so that we get a perfect thud. Make sure when we go up high, you can kind of hear it up here. Chum, chum, chum. So I'm going to bring this decay in a little bit smaller. Now that's better. Just to play it again for you. Here is it off. Cool, eh? So in my mind, this is simulating the finger thup, 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 thup thing on the bass string. Now, in this secondary slot right here, so right now we're saying envelope 2 controls oscillator 1 pitch, and we're going to say, but that is modulated by the velocity, meaning how hard I hit the key. So if I hit the key very soft, we just hear the regular tone. And the harder I hit it, the more thud we get, just like a real instrument does. And I'm just going to do this for the upper pitch as well, just for continuity's sake. So oscillator 2, pitch, voice velocity. Bring this up to roughly the same. Okay, great. Hopefully that makes sense. This idea of having the secondary control on your modulation is super important, because then you can create parameters that are not fixed. You can have an effect happening and then say that effect only happens when something else happens in proportion to whatever. Your mod wheel going up could be the solution. How hard you hit the key could be the solution. The actual pitch you're playing could be the solution. A different LFO. So many things you could use to do a secondary control on your modulation like that. Okay, so we've established the tone, we've established the decay, we've established the attack of the thing. One thing we could, if we wanted to go for even more realism, is to, if you hit a string really hard, you might have noticed before, its pitch audibly starts higher. Dun, dun. When you smack a guitar string or a bass string, you can emulate that too, of course. We could take another envelope here and shape it. Again, I mean, we can just do it real quick so you see what I mean. And then we say envelope 3 goes to oscillator 1 pitch. Hari with the And let's just get this. So you can hear that down, down. It's almost a pretty good timing for it already. And then we're going to say this gets controlled by velocity. So when I hit it really hard, I don't want that much. Not only do we get the impact pitch slide, but we get a slower pitch slide as well that's emulating the string being extended beyond its normal range. It's a little bit intense. Okay, the one thing we don't have now is that my velocity is not controlling the volume, and I can just do that like this. Let's throw that up. Now we're getting everything. I actually don't want this much velocity control. Okay, cool. The last thing we're going to do for now is just bring up the drive on here. The drive, remember I was mentioning last time, is like overdriving an amplifier or some kind of analog gear or any kind of circuitry like that. And we get harmonic distortion. So if we bring this up. Ooh, that sounds great. What's this set to? Yeah. So the one thing we don't have control over, one of the things we don't have control over in Mai Tai that we do in other kinds of synths, we can't control the way that the velocity is affecting things. Meaning right now the velocity has a very linear effect. Exactly like you hit low velocity, it has this effect. You have high velocity, it has this effect. Right? It can't have a curve to it. Sometimes you can shift things in other synths so that only when you hit your very hardest do you get the effect to occur. Everything less than that does nothing, and the very hardest maximum velocity will make the thing happen, which is also a very cool control you can have over things, but we don't have it here today, so we won't worry too much about it. Okay, I'm happy with this right now. I haven't assigned my mod wheel to control anything, and that's kind of a shame. We may as well do that. So let's get that doing something. What we could do is have the mod wheel control a couple of things. It could control the filter cutoff. I mean, that's like a kind of traditional thing to do, like this. It's okay. Don't really like that. Kept thinking about a compressor. That can add punch too. Right, exactly. A compressor is just going to do the same thing in reverse. It's going to compress the sound after a certain time, which is the attack time of the compressor. So if you said, say, 30 to, I don't know, 80 milliseconds is the attack time of the compressor, then once that time has passed, it will begin acting and it will clamp down the remainder of the sound, meaning it will make it quieter in proportion to the attack. So instead of making the attack louder, we're making the tail quieter. And so the relationship between attack and tail has been changed, a greater difference. Then you bring the volume up so that the tail becomes louder again, and you get the same effect exactly in reverse, basically. This is actually sounding pretty cool. This is the kind of bass I use all the time. Okay, so we said we could use this cutoff, which is not a bad idea. I don't mind that. We could have this start lower, and then this can come up higher. It's actually pretty cool. The other idea I had, what was that idea I just had? Oh, the other idea I had was that the mod wheel could control the length of the notes, meaning we could have it move from very short notes. We'll just do that quickly so you can see how that would happen. Mod wheel controls, oh, will it let me do that? I wonder. I don't know if we have that. Oh yeah, envelope main decay. That's all we need to do. So then we bring this down. Let's bring this up again. We bring this down to the shortest we would possibly want it, like that, say. And then we say this can bring it up. So by moving the mod wheel up, now we're getting long notes. Also cool. I'm going to go with the filter, I think, just because. This thing is getting triggered way too often. I think I might have to turn it off. A secondary pitch shift, that is. Okay, I'm happy with this. This is all done in the box, so to speak, meaning inside of Mai Tai, but often we're going to then go out and process it afterwards. A lot of sound design relies on external processing. You can only do so much in here, right? So what you then do is you come into your channel and you start adding effects. You do your EQ, you do your compression, you do your saturator, you do your reverb, you do all sorts of fancy stuff to make the sound even more interesting. And often that's how you really get the juiciest, best tones, is to have a great starting point and then also great effects to come afterwards and even enhance the thing. I'll just have a sip of tea here. Okay, hopefully everyone's good on that. Everything makes sense. Feel free to ask a question if you need to before we move on to the next instrument, which will be a pad. And we're gonna try to do some interesting stuff with the pad too. So much stuff I never thought about in such simple synth sound. Yeah, totally. There's so much you can do. Honestly, this makes all the difference in my mind in any kind of artistic endeavor. It is the culmination of so many little details that make the overall thing really worthy of attention and beautiful. Not that anyone's going to think, oh, what a beautiful bass synth, man. But it's got like a quality to it that, like I said, is at least on the road to being believable. It feels kind of real in a certain way because it moves and changes over time. And we could come in here, you know, and like start doing some subtle modulation with the chorus or the phaser. I mean, all sorts of stuff can happen there, but I'm gonna leave it simple just for the sake of time today. And let's move on. Okay, so this is the bass. And now we'll bring up another. So we're gonna make a pad, which if you don't know is basically, generally speaking, a sound that you can hold and is soft, and long, and you can play chords with, and is often used to either provide the actual harmonic information in the song, meaning the chords, literally that's front and center, or it can be a background element that is filling out frequency spectrum or filling out harmonic information or filling out all sorts of stuff. They can range from being really in your face, here is a pad, to being something that no listener will ever even notice. And yet without it, the song is kind of too empty. So we're going to see what we can do today. I was thinking about doing a pretty utilitarian pad, that is one that can, like the ladder, be kind of subconscious in the back, but have the ability to have a rhythmic element put into it, which we have not done yet. So let's give it a shot. For this pad, I'm going to start with a triangle wave, which thins out the harmonics compared to the saw wave. So it's not as thick. Let's pitch this back up. It's not as thick, oh God, as this sound. And I don't want my pad to be overly bright and whatever. So we're going to thin that out to begin with. C-Del 7 Up, hey, welcome. I don't think we've ever met before. How are you doing? Let me know if you have any questions. So let's start with this pad. The first is, we're going to put a soft attack on it. Like this. Let's bring the filter down. Is this too loud for you guys? Let me bring it down a little bit. You're doing good. That's great. Happy you're here. And then let's see. Sometimes I like my pads to be infinitely sustaining. Like this. And sometimes we like them to be long decay, but indeed decaying. This sort of thing. In this case, I'm going to have it be infinitely sustaining with a gentle release, like this. Okay, and now let's start designing. Last time we talked about the spread function. That's going to be our friend right now. So we're going to have random phase turned on because of the reasons we talked about last time. I won't go into it now. And we're going to spread this out to get the stereo spectrum. Now I'm going to push it just far enough. I don't want to start to hear this sound. The tubey stuff. I want it to be smooth like this. We're going to duplicate it in another octave. And which is going to be turned way down. This thing's real loud, hey? Okay. And then let's start to see what we can do with this. So the first thing I wanted to do was get a rhythmic aspect of this going on. I don't know what exactly we want to do, but I want it to have some kind of rhythmic quality. And for that, we're going to have the LFO doing that work. So just to reiterate, we only touched on it briefly last time. LFO means low frequency oscillator. So this is just like a set of values or numbers, you could say, that is oscillating between two poles just consistently back and forth at whatever rate you set it to. And so what we're going to do today is set it to sync, meaning it's going to sync to the tempo of our track, and then it can oscillate in a way that's meaningful to the tempo, meaning like quarter notes or eighth notes or dotted triplets, or you know, whatever, some division, some musical division. So let's go with eighth notes for now. And it's not going to do anything right now because it's not attached to anything. It's just, you can see the blinking light, it's just oscillating continuously, but we need to come down here and actually set it up to do something. So we're going to say LFO1 controls what? Well, there's so many things we could control with this. So for instance, we could just control the level first. Let's try that. The level of the main oscillator. So we say oscillator 1 level. And then if we just bring this up, already sounding good. This button here that says free, this means whether the LFO is going to reset every time we play a note so it starts at the same place, or if it's just going to move continuously forever and we're going to interrupt that flow with our note choice at some point. So in this case, I think I'm going to have it be free. We'll see what we need in the end. Depends on how we end up using it. So this is now synced to our tempo and is moving at eighth notes. Of course, I can shift this. And I think what I'm going to actually do is set it on a square wave. So now it's not going to have any middle values. It's just going to be this, 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 back and forth. Like this. Pretty cool. And let's bring this level way down. So it's just audible. That's pretty cool. Now, what would be nice, I don't think that's going to be possible for us today because our noise oscillator is hard-coded to run through the filter. We can't actually determine whether it goes through the filter or not. Stranger, welcome. Glad you're here. But if we turn this up, we can hear the noise, but it's very low passed, right? Because we have the low pass filter turned on. What I'm going to do though is say LFO1 is going to control the noise level as well. And then we're going to bring this down. And then we're going to say this is going to be controlled by the mod wheel. So we can decide when we want that. Oh, that's something else is working here. There we go. So I can bring that feature in and out. And maybe I can also control, LFO1 can also control the noise pan at the same time. Can I do that? Yes. Right, of course, it's just going to be alternating like that. We're going to have to use LFO2 for that. So LFO2 is going to control noise pan, and LFO2 is going to also be a square, but it's going to be set to be sync, and it's going to be on 16th notes. I'm going to turn the other oscillators off so we can just hear this one. Now, if you've got headphones on, you've got stereo speakers. Back and forth. Okay, and then this also is going to be mod wheel dependent. So now, when the mod wheel's down, we get nothing. Okay, can we create drum beats by just using Studio One native instrument? Of course, it comes with tons of drums. Just check out my video, the lo-fi video that got released yesterday, VCode. There's one on drums, and I'm using only stock drums in there, and you'll see exactly how I do it. That's a good question. Okay, so now, to make our pad a bit more interesting, we're going to try to add some parameters. Let's try this character parameter and see. I'm just going to play around. Impact is the bomb. Yeah, it's actually super sick. Interesting. We talked about these just briefly last week. They're just applying some sort of EQ curve or whatever you call it, convolution impulse response thing to the sound. I don't mind this one. hear the little EQ boost that's in there. And of course, we could think, oh, well, okay, I'm not going to say of course. I actually don't know the answer to that. Let's see. I think we can control these as well. Character sound. Yeah, so we can have this move around if we wanted to. For instance, it could follow envelope 2. Envelope 2 could control this sound parameter so that over time it shifts. I'm not going to do that today, but it's an interesting idea. Okay, great. And then the only thing we're going to do now before we finish off with this sound is put some effects on here. What do you think about Scalar 2? There's so much hype everywhere. People claiming that you don't need to learn music theory if you have this tool. Oh, man. You put it this way. Okay, it's more complicated, but put it like this. It depends on the kind of music you want to make, and it depends on why you're making music. If you're wanting to just make some music and not have to think too much about it, then absolutely. I think using any tools like that, either Scalar or loops or MIDI loops or anything that makes the music making easier, takes away the parts of it you don't want to work on and you can focus on the stuff you want to, that's great. I think it's great. If you are serious, so to speak, about those musical aspects, I would recommend not using them because they become a crutch and you don't really know what you're doing, so to speak. It makes things easy and that's completely fine. And it might be that you do that for a while and then you outgrow it and you don't want to use it anymore. Just like this, right? You guys are here learning how to make your own synth presets. Many people just use presets. They don't try to make them. It makes complete sense. That's the way I did it for years. I just used synth presets until one day I was like, I'm actually tired of this. I want to learn to make my own. And then I started doing that. But of course, you can't learn all things at once. So maybe you're working on your synth skills right now, and later you work on your scale skills and your chord skills and your whatever. For my way of working, I love chords. I love chords and scales and melodies. I do not want any help doing that because that's the whole point of the thing for me. I love to work on those things. That's what I enjoy most about music, actually. But for someone who that's a difficulty for them, it would be perfect. So that's completely up to you to determine what kind of route you want to take with that. Of course, you probably know on this channel, a lot of the stuff I put out is showing you how to be able to do all of that stuff yourself without relying on other things. That doesn't mean you should do that. It's just the way that I work. And of course, I'm going to teach the way that I work. So hopefully that helps. Let's throw some reverb on here. The obstacle is the way. Okay, Bill. That's correct. We're going to sink this quite deep back into the verb, meaning like throw the mix knob so that it's above 50%. The reverb is now louder than the dry signal, which psychoacoustically is like pushing the sound back into the room. Just as a brief little foray here onto reverb for anyone who's unaware of this kind of thing, how that works is that when you are if you say you're in a big hall with a sound right in front of you, or a person right in front of you, if they're right in front of you and they start speaking, those sound waves are going to come and hit you right away. But simultaneously, they're going to go out, hit the walls, come back, and that's the reverb you hear. But of course, the further that person gets sunk back in the room relative to you, then it's going to be shooting out from them to the walls and shooting out to you. There's a point where the reflections hit your ears at the same time as their direct signal hits your ears, and that starts to blend. Beyond that point, the reflected sound may start to hit you even earlier before the dry sound is getting to you, or some blend of the two. This is how we sync things back in a mix, so to speak. This is done through a pre-delay control inside. I mean, it's here. If I turn this pre-delay control up, I'm distancing the original sound from the reverb signal, meaning I'm hearing original first, reverb later, which brings the sound closer to me. If I want to sync back, I should have no pre-delay, because the reverb should come to me at the same time as the dry signal is coming to me, and then this mix knob of how much reverb versus how much dry signal is going to determine that sort of balance for us. So if I want to sync this back, meaning this is not a prominent element in the mix, that's how I'm going to do it. Doesn't it already sound like it's kind of like almost in another room? Yeah. Okay. This is all pretty cool. The only thing I'm going to do is probably throw this pitch bend up to maybe like an octave so that we can do some pretty cool slides with it. Kind of like this. We're trying to make synths wiggle, right? That's a lot of this philosophy I'm trying to give you here too, about the believability, about the emulating real things. Everything in the natural world is wiggly to one degree or another. It doesn't have perfect motion. It doesn't have perfect anything. And synths are not good at wiggling naturally. So we have to put the wiggle into them in as many ways as possible. And another way that we could make this sound wiggle is to turn on some modulation, like a chorus. Off. The reverb is going to make it chorus itself actually anyway, but we could have more. Chorus is basically duplicating the sound and it's interfering with itself. And that interference creates oscillation in the frequency balance, and you get movement over time, which is the whole name of the game, right? Stan, hey Max, I'm new to your channel and I've learned so much over the last week of watching you. I've decided to buy a musical warp drive course. Part 1 specifically, I'm loving it so far. Ah, that's so good to hear, Stan. Thank you. Yeah, I actually haven't mentioned that today. If you guys want to check out the description of this video, you'll find a few links there. A couple of them are for courses that I have called Musical Warp Drive on Udemy. And then one is for a Discord, which is a kind of chat room app where me and a bunch of the other guys here and people are hanging out. If you just want to come chat music with me and get feedback on your mixes and ask about plugins and talk music theory, that can all happen inside the Discord. So those links are in the description if you want to check it out. Thank you, Stan, for reminding me. And I'm so glad that you're enjoying the course. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this pad we've got here. Pod. Okay, so this is this template I'm working in here, by the way, is available in the Lo-Fi series that is being released this week. There's four videos that have been released in the series so far. You can find them on the channel. And in the description of those videos, you can get this stock Studio One template that I've created that has pre-routed tracks, tons of presets, Mai Tai, impact, reverbs, delays, drum bus, instrument bus, mix bus, all sorts of great stuff that, yeah, you can just get working right away, especially if you don't have some of your own VSTs and instruments. This is a great template to have. You can find it there. I probably should have linked it in this description as well, but yeah, it just didn't happen today. When is part 3 coming out? I really want to learn more about composing melody. If I'm right, part 3 is about melody. Part 2 is about melody, actually, V-Code, and it's already out. Check the description. The second link in there is for Musical Warp Drive Part 2, which is all about melody. It goes through like tons of stuff, all the modes, exactly how to use them, tons of exotic and interesting scales, how to use chord tones, chromatic notes, arpeggios, tons of exercises with backing tracks to compose melodies over. Like I'm actually pretty proud of it. I think you guys will like it a lot. And then part 3 of Warp Drive will hopefully be out soon, and it is all about harmony. Diatonic harmony to begin with. That is harmony that comes from the key you're working in, all about chords, all the way up from basic triads through suspended chords, through 6s and 7s, 9s, 11s, 13s, diminished chords, all sorts of stuff. All of that stuff just with tons of exercises about exactly how to use it and how to compose with it. So that will be out soon. Okay, back to the task at hand. Another Mai Tai. You already wrote in part 2 and didn't get a chance to go through it. Okay, great. Well, you're on your way. If you guys do download the template, one thing to know is that these tracks are disabled, meaning they're not loaded into CPU and RAM. So they're there and you can turn them on, but they're not actually utilizing anything. If you want to make your own template, I have a video about that too, a very in-depth video about making templates in Studio One. You might want to check that out. But you can just right-click them and say Enable Track, and then they become active for you. So we're going to use Mai Tai 4, and let's just create a quick, simple pluck here. A short sort of sound. We're going to play up in the upper registers, and let's see what we can do. Let's start with, I'm going to work a bit faster now that we've gone through a few, and you guys are probably getting the idea. I'm going to start with a square wave this time, because we haven't done that yet. That introduces a new knob. I'm going to turn this down, because square waves are very aggressive and annoying to listen to. Oh my god, even with that, it's still so loud. PWM is pulse width modulation. If you imagine a square wave, can I show you an example? Yeah, kind of like this. Check this out. Hey, this is going to work out perfectly fine. So if this is my square wave in here, I have one half of the cycle is up and one half of the cycle is down, positive and negative like this. And imagine there's a center line right here. Now, pulse width modulation changes the balance between the left side and the right side, the positive side and the negative side. So we can alter it so that one side becomes thinner and the other side becomes longer. And if you played video games back in the day on the old consoles, you'll recognize the sound. So here's the standard square wave. And I'm going to shift the pulse width. Recognize that sound? Only if you play video games. So what they would do back in the day is to try to get different tones out of a chip that can only make square waves, basically, is by adjusting the pulse width. And so they can get these thin, nasally tones down to these guys for basses. Right, that's the idea. So today, let's use this maybe for now, and let's get a pluck going on. So, of course, pluck. We want no sustain. We want a quick decay, a smooth decay. And we're done. No, just kidding. But that's the gist of it, right? We're going to leave it on poly mode. And then let's actually use this pulse width. Hopefully they're going to let us. I actually don't know that. Let's check it out. Let's say oscillator 1, pulse width. Great. And we're going to have LFO1 continuously altering the pulse width so that every time we hit the key, we're at a different... Bass was knocking on my Game Boy headphones. Sick. So when we hit the thing, we're going to be at a different point in the LFO cycle, meaning a different pulse width value at every time we hit the key. So we set this up to say LFO1 is going to control that, turn LFO1 on, put it up to some kind of rate. We can see the rate right here. Let's bring it a bit slower, maybe like this. Now, if I'm just going to hit one key continuously, I'll bring this up. We need to move this backwards, actually. So I don't want super audible variation. Just enough to get a bit of a change every time. Actually, do they have? No, they don't. So a lot of synths will have a random function, a random note on function. Every time you hit a note, it shifts the parameter and it holds it there until another note is played, and it shifts it and holds it. So you don't get the wow changing sound, you get a static sound, static sound, static sound. That's kind of a cool feature too, but I don't think we can quite do it here. When it comes to the synth, what are presets? Presets are just to show how the synth work, or they're ready-made stuff to be used in music. Yeah, exactly. They're ready-made stuff to be used in music. Now, a lot of times synths come with presets that are actually designed to make you say, wow, and show off the synth, but they're actually not very usable. That's not always the case, but often I've noticed that. So myself, I prefer to create sounds that are like highly, highly usable, meaning they could fit a lot of circumstances. They have a purpose in music. It's just like, say you have an orchestra, or you have a rock band, or you have a whatever. Various instruments have purposes within that ensemble. They have functions for harmonic function, melodic function, plucky stuff, nasally sounding stuff, sweeping sounds, all sorts of functions. I'm designing synths with this in mind, that I want a very versatile, highly sensitive, highly responsive sound that I can use in a variety of circumstances, but it fulfills a function and it fulfills it well, so I can use it over and over again. The more unique a sound is, of course, that's cool, and it's great to have super unique sounds, but it's hard to reuse them because they will define the sound of a section or of a song because they're so, so one-off, so custom. And I, of course, do that a lot too, but when we're making these sorts of sounds, I'm looking for all-purpose, practical, highly usable sounds. Okay, so we got this going on. Let's get the filter in there. Envelope 2 on the filter. Let's go. Actually, let's just try envelope 1 on the filter. Are those presets built from the same synth? Can we build our own presets? Yes, exactly. If you come up here into Mai Tai and click this, all of these are presets built from Mai Tai for Mai Tai. They're exactly what I'm doing right now. Someone has gone through and made all of these sounds. So here are some sounds that I'm currently making for a Mai Tai pack that I will release soon for all of you, with my own flavor of Mai Tai sounds. In case you're not into making your own sounds and you just want mine, that will be a possibility soon. Okay, so we're going to get envelope main to control the filter, pull the filter down. I actually want, it's not going to work, I want envelope 2 to do it, and I want it to be an even sharper cutoff. This is what I'm looking for. I use them to learn more. Yes, that's a great way to go. Thanks for bringing that up, stranger. A good way to learn synthesis is to open 2 Mai Tais, pull one over here, pin it, in case you didn't know about this, pin it so you can open another one, find a sound that you love in this one, come over here, remake it, and build every little thing here. So you copy every detail you see in here, and you listen as you copy, and you see, this does this, this does this. When I was learning synthesis, that's what I did, probably like 30 or 40 presets. I just came in and grabbed my favorite ones, remade it, favorite one, remade it, over and over, until you start to get the idea of how it goes. Another thing I can recommend to you guys is an app called Syntorial. Let me just write that down. I used this to learn back in the day as well. It's amazing, amazing. It's basically a standalone synth that this guy coded himself, and it's also a game. As you progress, the synth unlocks new portions of itself, and the game is to replicate the sounds you hear. So you learn about a control, such as a filter. Then it plays you a sound, and you have to remake the sound in the synth. If you get enough of them correct, it will unlock a new part of the synth for you and start showing you new techniques like that. It's actually like amazing. So if you're trying to learn that stuff, consider it. It's a free demo. Oh, okay, good to know. Okay, so now we're getting this. So this sound is kind of interesting. It's very similar to a very tightly palm muted guitar. And this is because the filter is closing faster than the amp is closing. So the volume is decaying at a certain speed, but the filter is closing even faster. So we go from high frequencies to just low frequencies very quickly, and the low frequencies take a while to decay, which we could even increase if we want. It's kind of cool. Okay. Next, let's see if there's anything else worth doing on this particular thing. Let's try the drive. Adding a little bit of thickness to it. I'm going to leave it up. I don't need any more punch on this sound. The resonance is going to give it this very quick, chewy quality. Choo, 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 choo. If you listen very carefully. Off. On. I'm overdoing it here. It's pretty cool, though. Let's leave it on. Okay. Now, we haven't used oscillator 2. Should we use oscillator 2? Perhaps. We could try putting sounds muted. Yeah, exactly. Unless you mean my sound is muted and you're not hearing me anymore. I'm going to try a triangle wave. No, a square wave. Up an octave. Just like that. Random phase. That's pretty satisfying, actually. Okay. That's cool. We could try the same trick we did on the bass to get a flickier sound off the top. Let's just give it a go real quick with envelope 3. Controlling oscillator 1's pitch by this much, no sustain, decay real fast. It's not going to add too much to the sound. We're not low enough. That's fine. So I mean, we could keep tweaking this, but like this is already pretty usable to me with some reverb. And what we're going to do is let the mod wheel expand the filter decay. The envelope 2 decay. So we can get this. Okay, I'm just going to make sure this maxes out at something usable. Cool. Have you used the Vital Synth? I've just scratched the surface of it. A few people have told me about it on the streams. The thing is, I have so many synths that it's hard for me to justify spending time to learn another one that can basically do all the same things that I'm already doing on other synths. It does look awesome, and it's free. It has a free version, of course, and some paid versions too. So I have been recommending it to some people because if they're looking for a way to get into synths beyond Mai Tai or beyond their stock synths, then it's a great way to go. Serum is usually my synth of choice because I worked as a sound designer for several years making Serum sounds, and so I know the thing like ridiculously well. So it's kind of, unless there's sounds I really can't make in Serum or Omnisphere or whatever else I'm using, I don't really feel the need to reach out for something, unless I can do something really amazing. But that does not to say it's not an amazing synth. It's just I'm already invested in another one. Here's a situation that happens very often when I'm designing synths. I'm trying to make a parameter movable, such as the mod wheel allows me to get longer sounds. But I don't like the way that the resonance now goes chow, 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 chow. When it's short, it sounds really cool. But when it's long, it gets a bit too intense for me. So I need to say, when the mod wheel moves, not only do we want to make the decay longer, but also when the mod wheel moves, we want to have the filter resonance go down. And I'm going to pull it down until I like the sound, like this. So now I get the best of both worlds. I get the clicky, punchy little tight sound that I like, and then I also get the longer sound that I like without the ill effects of the resonance involved. There's a lot of this management that goes into making like high-end presets. If you really want to get fancy and make like the best stuff possible, lots of parameters start to interfere with each other when you're doing things like that. And so, yeah, that's a lot of management has to go into, oh, didn't expect that to happen. How do I control it? And it's actually pretty simple. You just kind of have to think logically about what is happening. All the controls are laid out right in front of us. The thing is not going to do anything that it's not being told to do. It's just that we might not be thinking about what it's being told to do. We might have the wrong idea. Why is it making that sound? It's making the sound because the controls are telling it to make that sound, not because it's doing something stupid or whatever. We're just not figuring it out. That's all. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Plucky sounds often call for delays. So let's get a panned delay on here. Dotted eighth notes are a great place to start. If we have my, well, we'll get into this in a minute when we get the click going on in a drum beat. Ken, welcome. No problem at all. Yeah, so a brief note on delay when using synths or when using anything. Sometimes you want the delay to be equal to the sound. That is, like a literal duplicate of the sound as it is now. It sounds like every time the delay hits, it just sounds like another actual hit of the noise, except it's going side to side. But more times, I say more often than not, we want the delay, like a reverb, to be separated from the dry sound. So the dry sound sticks out in front and the delay is like a thing going on back here, right? So we do that in several ways. One, of course, is by volume, bringing the mix down. The second is by frequency. Sounds that are very close to you will have more high frequencies in the real world because high frequencies are very short wavelength. The short wavelengths get absorbed by materials very easily and they get dispersed very quickly in the air. Like when you hear a distant sound, right? A very distant sound is not going to have any high frequencies to it. And if you're hearing, for instance, like music from another room, you're just hearing thum, 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 thum. You're not hearing tick, 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 tick. All those frequencies are getting absorbed. So to simulate that, for the purposes of creating clarity with the front instrument, you dull the sound in the back. You dull the reverb. You dull the delay. You dull whatever instruments you want to have sit back in the thing. So in this case, we don't want an instrument to sit back, but we want a delay to sit back. So we're going to remove high frequencies. So they become dulled. Now the main sound has a click to it, and the delayed sound does not. And we can remove some low frequencies too. And then we just make it quieter. There we go. And then we can throw a reverb on here. Aha, here's the problem. Okay, so when you're dealing with lower end reverbs, you get this issue where sounds with very high transient information, that is like sharp attacks and then very quick decays where you can, like a drum or something, they reveal the imperfections in the reverb, like that. You see, no matter what I do, I can't get a smooth sound. I want not brrr, right? So that's just due to the quality of the reverb that we're using here, the number of echoes that it's going to be producing, delays. Because I mean, that's what an algorithmic reverb is, right? Is it's just many, 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 many delays very, very quickly after one another, and you can hear them here. When the sound is smooth, you can't perceive it because the smoothness blends into smoothness, blends into smoothness. But this is a problem that I encounter all the time dealing with yeah, anything that has a sharp attack and needs reverb on it. I wonder if this is going to affect it. No. It sure changes the sound, though. Wow, does it ever? Holy moly. Was not expecting that. Supreme we go. Okay, supreme quality. So we're going to have to use an external reverb to get a nice reverb on this pluck. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Anything else you guys will want me to make synth-wise before we get into like working on a beat here, which might take up a little bit of our time. We've got 45 minutes left. I was going to try to make a bit of a beat with this stuff, so I'm happy to start that now, unless there's one other type of synth you guys wanted to see. If you want to let me know. We don't have a lead right now. We could do that, but also we might want to know what the beat's going to sound like first before we make the lead. Sometimes that's helpful. Okay, let's get into the beat. So if you've just been here to enjoy the Mai Tai creation section, I hope it's been helpful for you. We'll probably keep touching on it as I go in here. Now, as I often like to do, the point of everything to do with DAWs and music production and synths is to make music. And that's what I like to do in my tutorials, and anything else that I'm working on is to actually use the thing practically. And we can just hang out and make a beat. And if you guys have suggestions on the beat or how I should use these synths or whatever, you can just let me know. Yeah, so let's just get into it. I have some tempo set here already. I don't know what I think I was thinking like hip-hoppy when I was first making the thing. I'm at a tempo 150. And I'm hiding my impact for some reason. I think I've got a kit loaded in here already. How is that volume for you guys compared to the synths? It looks a little bit on the high side. Why is this not doing anything? Oh, because I have multi-output. Okay. It's high, okay. How's that? That's better. Sorry about that. This is a custom kit that I made a little while ago for impact. And that's what we'll use today. Okay, so let's just get the tempo in our head first here. Hey, I was pretty much on. Okay. Ooh, we got it. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's try that. I know you said you're working on a preset, and I was wondering if you already have some available. I don't have any presets available myself, not for Mai Tai or anything like that. People have only just started requesting it, actually, so I've not spent really much time doing it. Why does it put a female symbol after the server? I don't know. Okay, so we're working with eighth notes here. We'll just quantize this for sake of argument to make things quick and not have to deal with too much stuff. Or let's make this all the same size. I would like to release also a pack of impact presets. I quite like making drum stuff, as you guys probably know. Okay, so let's just get some... One trick I like to use when working with drums, if I know I want a maximum... how to put that? Okay, for instance, this kick, I'm never going to want it to be louder than it is at the start of the beat, at the start of the downbeat of when the beat drops in the song. Like that's the loudest kick I'm ever going to want in the song. So I may as well max out that velocity. Every other velocity will be equal or less than that. By maxing out that velocity, it becomes easy for me to manage across different sections of a song because I can always boost that velocity to maximum, knowing that that's going to be the same as the kicks in my previous section, as in the previous section, and so on like that. The control click, great trick I learned, yeah. So if you want to select all of a note, you can just hold control and click the note and you get the selection across like this. All of that type of note, all that type of note, all of that note, all the F sharps. So my snares too, I want them all the same velocity. This kick, my secondary kick, oops, I would like it to be less than my primary kick, which is... I like that. Okay, welcome, by the way, to anyone who's new on the stream. If you're just joining, we've finished the actual Mai Tai designing part. Now we're making a piece of music, a little beat with the stuff we've made. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the video, you could leave it a like. Of course, that's very helpful to me. You all know how YouTube works. If not, that's also fine. Okay, I like this. Life is hell without that trick. Okay, so what we're gonna do is done. Thanks, Hari. We're gonna add some chords here. I'm gonna use the key sound we made last week. I'm probably gonna need to duplicate this out. Dupe it and loop it, as I often say. That's gonna be a shirt one day, guys. Trust me, I'm gonna have to make a shirt out of that. Dupe it and loop it. Okay, we're gonna use the key sound. Ugh. E-Nice, yo, what's up? Welcome. Okay. We're going to do a little progression here. If you look at the bottom of my screen, you can see the keyboard. You can also see that little black bar. That's going to show you roughly the chords I'm playing. I don't know if it's going to get it right all the time. F major 9, I got that right. F minor 6, 9, got that one. A minor 9 at 11, okay, it's doing pretty well. F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Yeah, okay. Oh, that one's not right, but that's actually an E altered chord. And then let's grab it. You do that stand by using a secondary application. I'm using an app called Konyi, which is an amazing app. I love it if you're doing any kind of teaching or if you're even studying your own chord stuff and you want to see what you're playing, you can use Konyi. You got to purchase it, but the developer's a great guy. And yeah, I love the app. It also shows you the chords. I don't have it displaying here, of course, but it shows you the chords on a fretboard. It shows you the chords in standard staff notation. You can get alternate names for all the chords. Wow, so cool. Okay, so the progression we're going to use today is that one. I'm in A minor to keep things simple for us, and we're going to play some fancy chords because I like fancy chords. This is F into F minor, into A minor, into F sharp half diminished, and again the F, now into an E altered, to the A, to a C, C7, inverted C7 chord. Whoa, it's giving that a weird name. Cool. Okay, and that's the progression we're going to play. And we will play all of the upper parts rootless, roughly speaking. So I'm not going to play these low bass notes. I'm just going to play this upper part. So the chord names are going to get all messed up now while I'm playing it because it doesn't know what my root note is. I could also play them up here, which might be nice. No. Yeah. An altered chord is when you make an alteration to any of the standard degrees. So you could have a sharp 11, or a flat 9, or a sharp 9, or a flat 5, or a sharp 5, or a flat 13. All these things when you see like a E7, sharp 9, sharp 5, D9, sharp 11, all that kind of stuff, those are altered chords. And the altered chords normally occur on dominant type chords, dominant 7th type chords, and they normally pull you to a new chord. For instance, this E altered chord, E7, sharp 9, sharp 5, is going to resolve to an A chord, right? That's kind of the purpose of them. Or I shouldn't say the purpose of them, that's the way people often use them. Okay, so let's give this a shot now. Okay, I'm going to give myself, it's actually a category, Ken. It's not the same intervals every time, you're right. It's a category of chords, just like, I don't know, sevenths or triads or something. A bunch of chords fall into the altered realm. The altered realm. That's the realm I want to live in, man. Wow, that sounds pretty sick. Okay. So, give myself a 1-bar count in, and then I'm going to try this out. I need to click on. Okay, 2-bar count in. I do that so often. I'm on the drum instrument and I play a drum chord. That's a drum F major 9, in case you ever want to know what that sounds like. Huh. I forgot what my last chord was going to be. We almost got it though. I actually wanted these to last twice as long as they're currently lasting. What do you guys think? Or do you like it changing fast like that? I'm down either way. It's kind of cool when it's fast, but yeah. So some of these are not so well played here. Okay, so lasting is good. Let's try. Okay, cool. Slower, okay. There's not really an easy way to do this. Let me think. Like normally what I would do in this situation is grab this, hold Alt, and drag, but it's also going to drag out the time in between every note, but we could see if it works. I wonder. Yeah, it makes them quite long. It's not too bad. I mean, that could work. But let's just do it the simple way. Macro editor, I think. Yeah, I don't know that that's gonna have the same problem I just had, I think. So if we just do this, it's not bad. I think it's gonna cause some interference though when the chords are arpeggiating too slow like that. This is how I spend my life, guys, doing this kind of thing. It's not a bad way to spend a life, actually. Okay, and then we'll just quickly... Good way to spend life. Nice. What do we think? You think of that long like that is the way to go? I don't know, Thomas, actually, if there is a way to get the modulation to move with the chords. That's a good question. You like it? Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, we could like switch it up midway through and like make it shorter or whatever. That could be pretty cool. Some of these I didn't play very well. Any jazz harmony fans in the crowd here? People that are into that kind of like the fancy chords. Oh, I know you are. Trying not to be a backseat producer. Love jazz. Okay, Ken, that's great. In good company. Takes you a while. You did a great job though, Thomas, I think, on the beat I heard you did recently. You had some sick chords going on. Sorry about this, guys. I know this is kind of boring to like watch this. I probably should have just like replayed it. Actually, that would have been like a way better idea. But now we're deep into it. I gotta do it. Yeah, point of no return, exactly. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. Sorry. Sometimes I got something good to say. Okay, that's going to do for now. Let's... the beat boops speak for themselves. True. There's another shirt I gotta make. Oh yeah, I should also mention, for anyone that's interested, by the way, I mentioned this Discord. I have a Discord, which is a kind of chat room, which you can join. It's in the description of this video. It's a nice place to like hang out and talk about music. And I'm just started doing a, a weekly production challenge series. And yesterday was the first day. So I released a little pack of random, almost samples, drums and tonal elements. And then everyone who wants to participate is going to make a kind of 40-second to a minute-long beat or piece of music out of that, and then we're all going to get to listen to everybody's creations. And this coming Sunday, I'm going to have another stream at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and I'll be doing my own entry for that challenge on the stream live. So if you guys want to see how I'm going to do that, you can join me then. I'll have something posted on my YouTube soon that you can get like a notify me or something like that. Excuse me. You'd like to do that. That's great. Just got to be in the Discord. I'd like you to do that too. We can all do it. Okay, so here we go. Just joined. Stan. Great. So I'm thinking bass right now. I've forgotten the chords I'm playing already. I played that last chord wrong. Let's fix that. Change my drum pattern. I feel like somehow the bass is sounding out of tune to me. Is anyone else noticing that? Maybe not. Yeah, sometimes. So I'm going to put this bass in a minute. I feel like I need something else in here first. It's not quite like exciting me enough yet. Get these plucks involved. It's okay. We need some reverb though. still pretty like sounding, but okay. Interested in how you might mix it as you go. Well, we'll see how far we get. Don't really like any of these ideas I have right now. You should play some low chords like that. That's kind of nice. Let's try that. So the reverb is basically killing it for me right now, and killing it in a bad way. So we need a way to try to smooth this sound out. I'm going to try an open air preset instead and see if with the convolution we can get a smoother sound. Let's try a plate. It's a bit better. Maybe we can work with this. I'm gonna EQ it. we go. Okay, just to get me in the vibe, we need a quick, whatever you call it, side chain. Someone in a comment told me you can choose the side chain from inside the plugin. Say what? This? I never knew that. Never in my life. I don't know how I didn't know that. That is hilarious. Wow, it's right there. Don't give me credit for that. I just went over to the kick channel, which is not showing right now, actually. We don't need that many. Went over the kick channel and just did it this way. And also, one thing I guess maybe you can't do from that side, which I would like to do, is you need to put this to be pre-fader so that the level of your kick does not affect how much side chaining is happening. That's actually pretty important. Okay, the next thing we need is a saturator on the drums. So I'm going to use red light, or what is it called? Red version 4.5. I see. Maybe you're right, Ken. Red light dist. Let's take a soft tube, and I'm going to solo the drums for a sec. Okay, that didn't work. Yeah, pre-fader. That's just so that when I set the level of side chaining I want, I don't want if I change the level of my kick later, I don't want it to affect how much ducking is happening, right? So that's the idea. Yeah. Studio One artist worth it? I'm using Cakewalk, but I was thinking of upgrading the artist $30 off. Yeah, I think so. If you've got, like, Studio One artist doesn't come with some of the drum samples, some of the libraries, a bunch of stuff like that. And so if you have your own VSTs and stuff, I'd recommend artist. But if you want the full Studio One stock experience, then you probably should go for the professional version. Doesn't enabling auto gain solve the problem about ducking? It can, but auto gain is not always perfect. It depends on your settings, it depends on the compressor. I actually don't ever use it myself. is getting somewhere now. Our kick pattern is not... It's okay. Could have a kick right here, perhaps. Maybe more spacious. Okay, back to the bass line. This is all sounding really good. It's kind of an interesting move. What am I playing there? Need a bass fill here. What's the chord? Okay, I need to set something on my bass. I need glide. We need to quantize all the ends of these notes so they don't... we can just do the legato correct. Screw it. Let's do this. Yes. Do do do. Do do do. So this could be worked on forever. I'm just going to keep it like that. How's the balance and mix sounding to you guys? I've been hearing it for too long now. I can't quite tell. reverb on the snare. Ah! Sorry. Jesus. Oh my God. Saul, welcome. Stardew Valley music. Oh, that's great. I never played it, so I don't know. Okay, let's grab that. Let's put an EQ on it. Chorus on the bass. This is very uncommon for me, but I feel like I want it right now. This is tight. Sounds good. The bass is loud. Maybe you're right. You were engrossed in the music challenge. That's great, Nick. I can't wait to hear it. What I'm hearing is I need some like stuff on the sides of my head. I could stand for like a double time shaker. Or hi-hat. Hi-hat. Let's try this guy. Yeah. And let's go 16s at 150. Okay, we're pretty fast now. Yeah. Let's bop it around. There we go. Okay, now we're going to get this hat panning. I never tried to do that before. I wonder, can we... Whatever. Let's do this. Let's draw a sign. How do I... Yeah, like that, but like more. How's that? Turn it down. Look at this thing go. Trying to get the weekly challenge done before the stream. Nice. keep wanting to hear this other kick in here. I feel like I have to put it in. Maybe every second time or something like that. Here. Ah, maybe not. I can't tell. Some more percussion for a little drum fill here. What else we got? Hey, no problem, Court. Happy you were able to make it. Hopefully it was enjoyable. See you soon. Where's that little ticka sound? Up here. Look at all these sounds I got in here. You're gonna be over here. And you're gonna be over here. And you're gonna have a crash or a ride. Maxwell click clacks. I like my little click clacks for sure. Let's compress the whole mix. Thanks, Nick. I'm obsessed with drums, so. Dinner. Thanks, sweetie. I didn't get dinner before the stream today, so it's gonna happen pretty soon. I know I'm going over time. I'm just kind of like into it, but I'm ready to stop whenever. Good morning, Frank. Welcome. So with like a lead on top of this, we would probably be in the business. Reverb on that snare. Got a sound for that. Look at all this cool stuff. Not quite. Let's put a saturator on the whole mix as well, just 'cause. Let's do a quick test first. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna put OTT on. I'm gonna smash it completely. faded in. Drum hits we could put in here. Where would it go? Here, maybe? Maybe not. Content, man. You're way with music production. Maybe like in that lo-fi series and all the live streams. Also got your course. Haven't started yet. Look forward to it. Hey, thank you, my friend. That's so nice to hear. Glad you're enjoying it all. And welcome. I don't think we've met before, have we? Shells. Sorry if I'm tripping on that. I gotta be able to play. Sorry. Let me just work on this a sec. Thanks, Casey. Welcome, Casey. Wrong chord. Oh my goodness. I never record my solos. Sorry. Something cool could happen there if I really practiced a little bit. YouTube is recording. Also got your MWD courses 1 and 2 to start it tonight. Oh, wow. Great, Casey. That's wonderful. Thank you. Glad you like it. Yeah, but we could do something really cool with this thing. And man, I'm just like on it right now. I just, let me give me one sec. I know I want my dinner too. I'm pretty hungry. Not Corey Henry yet. No one's Corey Henry, I know. One of these. Speaking of synths, you just grab this, you say LFO1 at 6-ish hertz, 5-ish hertz, free time, controlling oscillator ones, pitch, like this. Controlled by the mod wheel. We get the drive involved. Turn the reverb down a little bit. My mixing is bringing out the reverb like mad. Wow. My mastering chain. Okay. Okay. Sorry guys, I was just having a good time there. And dinner is ready. My sweetheart making me my dinner while I'm streaming. Come on guys, what's up with that? It's amazing. Okay, well I've had a great time with all of you so far tonight, like I always do. It's just a blast to be with you, work on this stuff. I hope you found some value in the stuff I talked about today in terms of the synth creation, and we made this beat. Maybe we'll do something with the beat someday, I don't know. But yeah, I'll be back on Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, and we're going to work on the Discord musical challenge that I've given for the week. I have a set of samples to work with and make something off the wall, kooky, out of those random samples that I chose. That'll be fun. I'll be back next Tuesday, probably not with Mai Tai. I'm open to suggestions on the stream, guys, for next Tuesday. If you want to come to the Discord, you can let me know what you'd like to see. I'm happy to do something like this where we're talking about like doing actual teaching subject on something, or I'm just back on the composition stuff like before. That's also totally fine. Whatever you guys like. And any suggestions for videos or anything like that, I'm totally open to it. I'm very interested in your feedback on the lo-fi videos. I really enjoyed making that kind of stuff, and I would be happy to do it on another another genre if you guys would like that. I'm considering doing a chill hop thing. As you know, as you can see, I'm kind of into this sort of stuff. So anyway, check out the description, please. There's some links in there for my Discord and for my courses if you want to pick them up. And otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your night. I so appreciate all of you spending time with me, and it's a real treat for me as well. So hopefully the feeling is mutual. Yeah, thank you all. Great to read from you. Talk to you very soon. Have a good night. Have a good rest of your day wherever you are. Much appreciated.